Man, I gotta tell you, Z Nation probably just shocked every single viewer that was watching tonight. Once again, Z Nation proves that they are willing to do whatever it takes to get the story told, and I'm speechless. I really did not see that coming at all. It was a very, very shocking episode, very action packed. And you have to admit, that was a very good follow up to the season premiere. But definitely very sad, very shocking. And I'm gonna get to my review so that way we can, talk about it and I can let you know my thoughts. But big warning: this video will contain spoilers, and I mean major spoilers. So if you have not watched the episode and you do not want to be spoiled, don't watch the video because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. Well, when I realized that the episode was called White Light and I was doing my predictions, I do realize that the white light concept, you when you think about death, is that sometimes you hear about people saying that they see the white light, go towards the white light, don't go towards the white light. A lot of different references to that, and it should have sent the alarms off in my head, that maybe we might see a death in this episode. And I honestly thought that I had seen every character in the trailers, like for what's to come in season 2. I thought I saw them all, and I thought that they were all standing by the truck when Pie Girl was there. So I thought, well, there's no way they're going to meet up with her. So, I don't think it's going to happen. But it did, and it turns out that this character was not standing by the truck. I just double checked it. Sure enough, he wasn't. Mac died in this episode, and it was very sad and very shocking. And I will get to that and talk about it. I want to do a little bit of a chronology here, but that's pretty much the shocking thing that happened in this episode. So like I predicted before, the episode was really based on bounty hunters, various different people coming into the area and, trying to capture Murphy because, they heard about the bounty. They wanted to get it for themselves, take Murphy to California, get the vaccine for themselves, a bounty, hey, it's going to cause desperate people in desperate situations to do terrible things. And that's pretty much what was going on. I mean, you had people just shooting at each other just wildly in the street. I mean, there were a lot of deaths in this episode of just these bounty hunters. I mean, you had Vasquez killing some of them. You had different bounty hunters killing each other. And then, of course, there was one where Cassandra actually saves Murphy again by just jumping on the back of one and just ripping her throat out. And I think she bled out and died. But we once again see the useful utilization of Cassandra for Murphy. I mean, someone who will protect him. But another thing that the white light really featured was, with all this chaos going on, you have the bounty hunters, you have zombies, you have a lot of different factors coming in here. Everybody had a near-death experience in this episode. 10K almost got blown up by a scorpion, the character played by Emilio Rivera, who was introduced. He sees a white light, but he was just stunned. And then you had Addie and Citizen Z, who were both attacked by zombies. You had Warren, who got knocked out, and then you had who am I missing here? Doc, who was strangled by one of the bounty hunters, like literally in the hotel room, just being strangled. And each one of them experienced different things. 10,000 did see a white light, and then of course when Mac died, he saw the white light as well. But then you had characters like Warren, Addie, and Citizen Z, who actually saw like memories. It seemed like Citizen Z pictured himself at the park when he was a kid and fell, and I think somebody who was his father came to run over to him and help him. You had Warren in a pool coming up to the surface, and then you had Addie imagining herself on a tricycle. And I think that what was going on was, I think that there was a lot of different, you ever heard that old saying that your life flashes before your eyes, potentially, as you're getting ready to pass away and move on? I think that that was really what was going on there. That at a point in that moment, that each one of them accepted that there's a very good chance that I'm going to die. And maybe to distract themselves from that moment, they thought back to a good moment in their life or something that, meant a lot to them. Or it was the beginning of them, starting to flash before their eyes and we just saw like a glimpse of it. And I think that that was really what was going on. And Murphy, too, had a vision of himself, with a girl smoking what I was assuming was marijuana. But, you saw different things like that. And I think that was what was going on was each one of them was thinking back to one of those moments, either to distract themselves or again, it's, your life flashing before your eyes. But they were able to get out of their situations. And, during all this time, I mean, again, everybody's fighting everybody off. And actually with Doc, what happens there is, he's getting strangled by the bounty hunter and his spirit, in a sense, leaves his body and is like floating up into the air. And he's like, oh, wow, this is how it happens. It's still room temperature. I mean, a little silly, but, I mean, it was definitely very interesting, to see something like that. And actually, because of that, Doc's spirit saw the knife on the top of the shelf, so Doc was able to knock the knife or letter opener or whatever it was off of the shelf, and he stabbed the bounty hunter with it. So, in a sense, everybody was able to overcome their near-death experiences, either, by luck, or, maybe it's just fate, whatever you may believe there, or again, just that will to live, that desire to, it's not my time and I'm not going to let it happen. During all this time, of course, Vasquez is, chasing after Murphy as well. And he actually has a very interesting experience because he runs into Cassandra and the two of them actually fight. And he actually ends up shooting Cassandra, somewhere in the body or the leg or the arm. I don't know where the bullet hit, and I was trying before I did this review to see if I could notice where it went. I still can't see like where the bullet hit, but you hear the thunk as it hits Cassandra's body, so I know that she was shot, but it didn't faze her. She got right back up and was running around, and Warren actually saw her. And that was definitely very interesting. I was like, boy, would the same thing happen to Murphy if he got shot? It really does make you wonder just what the differences are between Murphy and Cassandra. And I think that as time goes on, we're going to find out a little bit more. And again, it may lead to that conclusion that maybe Cassandra really did die, and it was because of the cure or the virus as a mix maybe brought her back. Because I don't know if she really can feel pain or feel anything like that. But, she is definitely interesting because in the sense, that she can be controlled by Murphy, but it also appears, that she can still, be controlled, by others, or at least she still has those connections. Because when 10,000 got knocked out, Cassandra was there and she could have bitten him or tore him apart. But it's obvious that she recognized him enough that she didn't do it. And then at the very end of the episode, when everybody was getting into a van, like 10,000 motions to Cassandra, like, get in the van. Like, he goes like this to tell her to go get in, and she does. So, I really do think that she recognizes people. It's very clear. But, exactly what is going on with her, I really hope they do explore that later on. But she was definitely a very a lot of interesting developments with her. I mean, she got shot, didn't phase her a bit, and then of course she got stunned by the stun gun. Vasquez stunned her. Now, of course, that could be explained because of the fact that she was shocked so much when she was a member of the cannibals that she became immune to it. So that doesn't necessarily mean that she's dead and can't feel anything. So I am interested to see them explore that a little more, but that was interesting, I'll tell you. And then throughout this whole entire time, Murphy's just, running. He's being his usual coward self. He's running away. He's hiding. I mean, when Doc was getting strangled by that bounty hunter, Murphy was hiding in the closet in the room the whole time. Didn't even bother to jump out and, help him. And Doc almost died. And then, of course, when Doc saves himself, Murphy gets out of the closet, runs out, and goes, "Hey, Doc, what the heck, Murphy? you are this very powerful person. Like, you're telling me you can't, burst out of the closet and bite the guy? I mean, sheesh. But he didn't. And again, maybe that's because he was just, so overwhelmed, so shocked, so scared by what was going on. I mean, he's definitely had it rough, these past two episodes. Now that he realizes that everybody knows about him and everybody wants to, take him away and potentially abuse him, that's scary. That's a scary thing to be. I can just imagine, what a fugitive feels like running from justice. Wondering, when is the day that the cop is going to get you? When's the day that U.S. Marshal's finally going to find you? Somebody, in regular everyday life, says, hey, yeah, you're that guy that was featured on that, like when America's Most Wanted was on. To me, it feels like the same thing for Murphy. He's a marked man, and that's definitely something to be very fearful and scared about. I can understand where he's coming from. But he just again continues to avoid the problem. I mean, continues to run away, thinking he's going to get away scot free, and of course he realizes that too many people are after him. There's too many different things that are threatening him, and he actually goes to jump off the roof of the hotel. Like, Warren, catches up to him, and Murphy just goes, none of this matters anymore. Like, I don't really care. And then again, you see that within him, like Murphy not caring about this mission, not caring about potentially saving the world. He really has, in a sense, lost his hope in that. And he goes to jump off the roof. Well, thankfully, below there was a swimming pool with zombie bodies in it, of course, no water. But he lands and he doesn't die because he landed on the bodies. So he ends up living. But of course, again, the way that it ends up happening for Mac is Mac and Addie were together. They were fighting through and trying to get to Murphy and killing a bunch of the zombies, and they end up getting separated because there was this big group of them. Mac ends up going down these stairs, and Addie she's able to stay up on the floor of the hotel, and she's able to get away. And she ends up outside, and Mac ends up downstairs in like this very dark, basement-like area. And, he's trying to find his way out. He has a flashlight, but he comes upon a locked door, and there's just zombies, chasing after him. I mean, there's zombies coming down from the stairs and zombies coming up the stairs. I mean, he just gets cornered in the stairwell and, screaming. He actually puts up a pretty good fight. I mean, he doesn't get bit for quite a bit of time. And of course, Addie finds him, but of course she sees the door is chained. She tries like heck to get that chain off of there. Mac's just telling her, go, go. He knows the jig is up. And, he doesn't want Addie to have to see, him as a zombie or getting killed. But Addie is so determined to actually save Mac. Because again, we know the feelings are still there. I mean, obviously there were a lot of things that they didn't talk about yet, and they hadn't resolved everything because now Mac's dead. But she's able to get the door open just as she's seeing Mac, getting bitten, feeding. Mac sees the white light, just you see him change into a zombie, and Addie just shoots him, shoots him right in the head, puts him out of his misery, gives him mercy, and continues back to go find the group. Very, very devastating scene. We know how much Addie was hurt by seeing her mother die that way and having to put her mother down, and now having to put down the man that she has loved ever since the start of this apocalypse. The one thing that has really been keeping her going and keeping her motivated. Now to see him dead and realizing that, it's partially her fault, and not, saying anything to him, I mean, abandoning him back at the Sisters of Mercy, a lot of those things, that she's never going to be able to resolve. And it'll be very interesting to see her going forward, seeing how much those memories and how much that guilt may affect her, or on the converse, she may be able to move past this eventually, realize that, the world is the way it is and you can't live with regrets. I mean, every character treats things like this differently. So I will be very interested to see. There was really no hint from the trailer for next week, so who knows how she'll be feeling, but I think that she will be feeling a little bit of guilt as a result of everything, and we may see that play out over the season. So, and of course, Addie ends up getting shot She actually gets winged like right on the cheek. A lot of people, were getting injured in various different ways. Like Vasquez got scratched across the face by Cassandra. I mean, a lot of different people were getting wounded in different ways. I mean, really coming close to death. And as I was watching the episode, I started to realize, I think something pretty serious is going to happen. And I thought maybe it was going to be like Citizen Z or something because, what was that going to do? Well, how are we going to know because we don't see him in the trailer as much and he's not with the group, but it was Mac. And I think down the road it might make a little more sense, but I'll do a video on that in the next couple days, give people a chance to watch the episode. So the way that the episode ends, Murphy gets into a van and gets ready to go drive away, and Addie catches up to him, smashes the window, grabs him, and she beats the crap out of him. I mean, she just punches him repeatedly. And the rest of the group catches up to them, wondering like, what are you doing? What's going on? And then they realize, that Mac has died. And Murphy just, at this point, he just shuts up. He gets that look on his face where he knows he screwed up. If he just would have went with the group, if he wouldn't have done what he did in the first episode and set the zombies on everybody and was being selfish like he usually is, I don't think Mac would be dead. Or the events would not have happened that way. So Murphy is responsible for what happened. He really is. All because of what he did in the last episode. He had the chance to go with the group to continue on with this mission. Maybe they could have gotten away from the bounty hunters. Things could have happened differently. I think, there were several opportunities where he could have stopped running, gone back to the group, and he doesn't. And once the group finds out that Mac's dead, they're just devastated, and they're upset with Murphy as well. In fact, so much that 10,000 actually ties him up. I mean, he literally takes rope, ties Murphy's hands together, not putting up with any more of his, BS, literally. So they're really upset. And exactly how they're going to be treating him in the next episode, I don't think very well. I don't think they want to hear a word out of him. I don't think they want anything other than to just continue on with this mission. And of course, they can't even go immediately west because the nuclear cloud, storm is basically coming their way. And Vasquez tells Warren that and says, well, we need to go we need to go in a different direction and get away from that storm. So they can't even go due west. So, who knows where the episode is going to take us next week. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. But, very, very shocking. A very great episode. I think these two episodes were amazing and just very unexpected. And once again, we see that Z Nation is not afraid to do what they need to do to get the story done. You don't see Walking Dead doing things like this as much. Or, I mean, you can kind of sometimes see a character death coming, or again, you can at least narrow it down where you know that it's not going to be Rick, it's not going to be Daryl, it's not going to be Michonne. I mean, you start listing off like 4, 5, 6 characters that are never going to die, and it's just not as shocking. But with Z Nation, I mean, I think anybody can go at any time. I mean, they've really demonstrated that in season 1 with Hammond and Garnett. They proved it again tonight. Totally shocking. Rest in peace, Mac. Michael Welch, did a very good job with this role. He will be missed. It's a very hard thing to see, but I think that it will serve a very good purpose down the road. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank all of you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. If you guys have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.